All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Talk Football, episode number 11. We got Shift God in here. What's good? It is Monday, December 23rd. I wish you all a very early Merry Christmas. It is extremely late night here in Florida, man, so I feel bad for if the walls are thin. But we got to talk week 16 football. We got Isaiah. What's good? Real quick, before anybody watching this post live or live pops in here, this is available on streaming sites. The link is down below. We have, only 10 episodes of this thus far. And every time we do this, I always say I started this like literally 1 year ago. We did like 11 in the first week. And I always say I want to do this. And I always want to do it like right when a game ends or all the games end, I should say. And we're finally doing it today because for some reason, I cannot sleep for the life of me right now. But it's 12 o'clock here live in Tampa, Florida. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just lost, but it's all right because we're Packers fans over here. I want to talk about everything. The title says Lions, Bears, Viking-Seahawks, and Week 16 reaction. Keep in mind, man, even though this is technically a podcast, it's mainly meant for live streaming purposes. If you guys want to check out my Twitter, the link is in the description of this. But keep in, throw any opinions, any hot takes, any comments, anything what you guys want to do. That is the whole purpose of doing these live, is just an extremely, what would the word be? It's late. It's late. So let's get into it. I feel bad right now because, first off, my first meal of the day was 2 McDoubles and a small fry from McDonald's. And then my second meal of the day just now was a McChicken and another McDouble. So I feel poor. We're going to drink a little drink here. But it is the Christmas season. I am really upset right now, not really with like actually upset. I was a little upset, and I've been getting a little bit upset here. The title of this live stream is Lions, Bears, Vikings, Seahawks, but obviously we'll talk about whatever anybody wants to talk about. Let me get my phone out here for the stats if we need any stats. I made a Lions video, like I always do when the Lions play football and they win or lose. It's my biggest fan base, I would say, on this channel. Depends on the games or depends on the day or what have you. And then I just made a Vikings video. I've had this opinion very firmly for the last couple of weeks here recently. I'm going to throw in a Sixer coffees in because our gas station didn't really have anything else to offer. We're in an era of sports right now where everybody hates everything. It's very weird. It's very peculiar to me. And it's a very small minority. And they call it, or I call it, or people have called it, whatever, the outspoken minority. That sounds, it's late. I've had a couple of these. It sounds maybe weird. I don't know. The point is, people hate so much stuff today. So I watched one game live, every rep, every single snap today. And it was the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears. And the Detroit Lions won that football game 34-17. And now the Detroit Lions are 13-2. And all of my comment section was saying frauds. They're frauds. They're obviously frauds. Dude, the Detroit Lions are frauds. You need to stop glazing them like it's the Chicago Bears. And one comment really stood out to me, and I've never really been somebody who gave a rat's about haters in comments, or not even haters, but just people giving hot takes in comments. But this was from a Steelers fan. I don't know when, and this isn't directed towards anybody, and we got 12 people in here. What's up, Hadwin? What's up, Barry? Keep throwing chats down here, questions, comments, opinions. Keep throwing that in there because we're going to get through our opening monologue rant on SNL, Sunday Night Live. Maybe we'll make that a thing. We're live here on Will Upton and Sunday Night Live from Tampa, Florida. People hate success now. I do not understand it. And so you guys know I'm a diehard Green Bay Packers fan. I'm a diehard Cheesehead. I love the Green Bay Packers. And my favorite quarterback of all time is Aaron Rodgers. And the Netflix documentary just dropped sometime this past week called Enigma. And I would say go give it a watch because I think Aaron Rodgers is a very misunderstood dude. But the point is, we're in this era where everybody hates everything. I do not understand it. And I don't mean any disrespect towards this Steelers fan because I actually root for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I honestly just root for football. I love football, right? People love football. People love sports. Some Steelers fan was in my comment section. I don't want this dude to get a vendetta against me. But the point was, he was like, stop glazing the Lions, dude. You just beat the Chicago Bears. And the way I look at it as an NFC North dude, as a Green Bay Packers fan who shouldn't have any affiliation to the Detroit Lions nor the Chicago Bears, the way I see it is you just went week 16 to a team extremely desperate. We're going to get into the Seahawks. Don't worry, Charlie. Seahawks Vikings. You just went into Chicago, a team that notoriously, whether it's Jay Cutler, whether it's Rex Grossman, whether it's Mitchell Trubisky, whether it's anybody, who was the guy who Andy freaking Dalton, Justin Fields, now it's Caleb Williams. You go into Chicago, you come out with a win, you feel good. The Chicago Bears could be 4-12, and we're talking 16-game seasons because that's where I was born and raised. You're 12-4, you're 4-12. Who gives a rat's ass? That's a huge win. And the reason I'm only just saying this with the Steelers fan was just because the Steelers went to Cleveland a couple of weeks ago and lost that football game. And like, if you're trying to tell me, and I love all my Steelers fans and I love all my people who watch these videos, my only rant to this is like, dude, just sit back, enjoy your life, enjoy football. It's not that deep. These are sports. The Cleveland Browns just went to Pittsburgh a month ago and took down the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you should not be upset that the Detroit Lions are frauds. I've made Lions videos for over 2 years now, and I know this whole thing is getting annoying if you guys have been watching these consistently because I always say this. I've been making Lions videos since 2 years ago when the Detroit Lions beat my Green Bay Packers when they were like 2-6, and it was Aaron Rodgers last season. And then you guys beat the Green Bay Packers when I was in freaking Mexico, sick as hell, trying to enjoy my hopeful playoff appearance. And the Detroit Lions beat my Green Bay Packers, and they finished 9-8. And I think the Seattle Seahawks were the team that ended up making the playoffs, and they lost in the wild card round to San Francisco that season. The point is, you enjoy sports, enjoy it all, enjoy a win. Get through the loss, man. A win is a win. It's the National Football League. And I know I'm talking about the outspoken minority here, but just try to relax. Let's just try to relax here. And once again, I know I'm talking to the 1% of sports fans who are like all anal about this stuff. I've been doing this for a long time, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's golf. Most people who have a issue on it or they give you an opinion and it's like a negative opinion, usually they're below the age of 21. And I used to be the same thing, but now I'm sitting here at 25. I just got a haircut. It's really short, but she did a good job. It's all right. We're done with the rant. All right, let's get into the live chat here. Can your Packers do us a favor and beat the Vikings next week? The NFC North is phenomenal. I'm a little bit worried for my Green Bay Packers tomorrow, even though the Saints are missing every single piece possible. I'm a little bit worried because it's week 16. It's primetime football, and I don't take anything for granted. I don't take any win for granted. Next week is going to be a phenomenal football week because we have Christmas Day football. We got 2 games on Christmas Day, and then we have Thursday night. I think Chicago is playing somebody. Are they playing Seattle? I feel like they're playing Seattle. And then we have Sunday's games. I think we have a couple of Saturday games, and then we have a Sunday night game. And then I want to say we have a Monday night game. Yeah, we got Detroit versus San Francisco. This is week 17 is going to be the best week of football, man. I absolutely cannot wait for it. Everybody hit that like button. Keep in mind, we do these on streaming form. If you ever miss this live and you want to check that out, the link's down below. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you very much. Hadwin James is saying go Lions. How much of the Seahawks game did you watch? I was there. That's awesome, man. That is so cool to be at a Seattle Seahawks game live in action. I am extremely jealous. Of course, I watched every snap. I do not make a YouTube video on a specific team that I have not watched every single snap, and I have thought about it thoroughly. Sometimes I think about it a little bit too thoroughly. I feel for my Seahawks fans in the sense of I think they have a really solid team, and I'm excited about their future with Mike McDonald. But I just made a Vikings video. What the Vikings are doing right now, and you could say the same thing about Detroit, Philadelphia, but what Minnesota is doing, like if I told any sane person, and I'll say this in a Vikings video, if we turned the clock back and I told you after 16 weeks you're 13-2, what would you say? And there's so many people saying, well, I think Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. It's like, you're 13-2. I don't care if you're the Detroit Lions #1 seed. I don't care if I actually think Philadelphia just lost, or I know Philadelphia just lost. So now they're 12-3. So that just opens up a little bit of a can of worms here. You cannot nitpick the way I was born and raised. You cannot nitpick a 13-2 team in any way, shape, or form. This is nothing like the 2022 Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if Charlie's a Seahawks fan or a Vikings fan, but that was a really good game. Both teams gave a phenomenal effort, and I think Seattle's very close. They're there on their way defensively. If I had to be annoying about it, I am wondering what the future situation is at the quarterback position for Seattle. But as far as just overall philosophy goes, I think Seattle's right there. And obviously, I just ranted about the Minnesota Vikings they're 13-2. There's people in these comments on these Vikings videos that I'm making saying play a good team, and it's like I don't think we're watching the same games. I don't think we're watching the same football games. FDK is going to Vikings Packers next week. That is absolutely awesome. I've never been to a game in Minnesota. I've been to one Packers game. It was against the Lions. It was a very long time ago. It was a little bit of a trip. I've been to Lambeau a couple of times, but I've only watched one live game. It was against Detroit. Charles Woodson was playing, so it was a very long time. I think Stafford, assumingly, was the starting quarterback for Detroit. But Minnesota's stadium, I've been to Minneapolis a couple of times, and I used to say this a lot, my Minnesota Vikings videos. Minneapolis, like I'm a Chicago guy. I'm wearing a hat. I'm a Packers fan. Really shitty. This hat I bought at Bears. It was last 2 years ago. It was during Hurricane Ian. I was living in Fort Myers, and I coincidentally went to a Bears game because I'm from that area. And Hurricane Ian, a Category 4 hurricane, hit where I just moved to. I love this Bears hat. I'm a Cubs fan and I'm a Packers fan, and I just think both of those two teams' colorways are disgusting. I think they're absolutely disgusting, but you guys know I love sports here. Minneapolis is one of the best cities I've ever been to. It is actually so cool, and obviously I'm a Midwest guy, but it's such a cool city. Like, it just really is. Thank you, Hadwin. OG, you're a beast. Vikes got to win out. We turned the clock back a couple of days ago, and people are saying the Vikings could win out, and you'd be told you are absolutely insane because Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit, you would have been told you're crazy. The Minnesota Vikings are 13-2, man. All right, we got Maverick here. Hello, Will. I appreciate you showing love to my Vikings. As always, you're the best Packers fan on YouTube. I appreciate you greatly. Chicago's playing in Seattle. Oh, Chicago's playing Seattle. I think it's in Chicago because my mom's got season tickets here, and because we're from that area, and I do remember thinking I was going to go home for that and maybe go to it, but I think it's the day after Christmas. Kind of hard to hit. Definitely need your boys to handle Minnesota next week. This is my favorite Vikings team in a while. Appreciate you, Maverick. We got a lot of people saying handle business next week. I like what Maverick's saying here with Minnesota. I get 2017 Vikes vibes, not 2022. So I love it. Moving down the list here, because as you guys know, I don't really like to talk too much about teams, videos, or games I didn't watch. I'm not really like a red zone guy. I like to make rapid reactions on football games. So typically, what I do is I watch a game on my television, and then I watch a game on my laptop. And the game on the TV is usually the game of the week for me. It's the video I'm about to make. And let's just say the Bears lost this game, or the Bears won this game, I would maybe, transfer my energy in the second half towards the other game I'm watching. But I'm usually like pausing it, and then, during commercial breaks or TV breaks, I'm, fast forwarding and I'm just watching the plays. But this was a really interesting week of football. I feel like we pretty much know what we're looking at here. The biggest surprise to me was Tampa just losing just now to Dallas. I don't know if you guys know, I just moved to the Tampa area a couple of months ago, and I've had a Tampa channel, a Buccaneers channel, for a couple of years now, because when I was in my final year of college, I had anticipated I was going to move to the Tampa area, and I ended up doing that. But that was the biggest surprise of the week for me, that Tampa just lost to Dallas. I know it was in Dallas. But outside of that, Jalen Hurts just got injured. He just got a concussion. I've never really feared the Philadelphia Eagles in the sense of, if I was, my Green Bay Packers, I know we lost in Brazil. I think that was bullshit. I think that was stupid, but it was week 1 in Brazil. I don't know if anybody remembers that game. I think football games maybe should be played in Brazil, because that field was stupid. And I'm not that type of dude to be upset with fields, Justin, or game fields. But the point is, when I look at a team like Philly, the Saquon Barkley acquisition is huge. And I know Jalen Hurts got injured right away in tonight's football game, but I've never really, I don't know, man. Philly's cool. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up making the playoffs. But if I was my Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions, or the Minnesota Vikings, or if I was even Washington or Tampa or any of these NFC teams, I really wouldn't be too concerned. I didn't watch too much of that game. Washington's now 10-5. It's a really interesting team. I do think Tampa will break Tampa. I think plays them next week. I think Tampa will beat them. But when you zoom out, it's a very similar situation to C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans of last year, where I'm not actively rooting against them. I loved Jaden Daniels the second he played a college football snap, specifically at LSU, not really ASU, because I wasn't really paying attention to that at the time. But when Jaden Daniels won the Heisman, and he did his thing at LSU last year, it was pretty obvious that I think he had insane talent here. Michael Penix also got his first start today, and they won 34-7 against the Giants. I have Malik Neighbors and, unfortunately, Drake London, who got banged up in my fantasy team semifinals. I ultimately ended up losing. Thanks for showing love to my hometown, Minneapolis. It seriously is such a beautiful city. If you've never been to Minneapolis, I'm not even talking like the Vikings. I'm not even talking Minnesota sports necessarily, because I've never been to a Minnesota sports game. It's such a cool city. It just really is. Once again, I'm a Chicago kid, so maybe that Midwest thing is there. But that city is that's a top 3 city all time for me. I mean, it's just it's beautiful. Gonna play Madden. I'm very jealous. My PS4 is on its last leg. It's unfortunately at home in Chicago. My TV just, it didn't turn off. We got a Tampa Bay. Looks like All Access is pulling itself on, which is it's pretty cool, man. I was born and raised in the Chicagoland area, so thankfully I had Aaron Rodgers, so I was able to watch pretty much every single Packers game for my entire childhood. But those blackouts, I don't even think that's a thing in the NFL. That's more of a thing in the NBA. But crazy they lost that game. I really can't believe it. I was watching a little bit of it. I appreciate you, Michael. This is a beautiful shirt. Alice in Chains. Thank you. Kyle Pitts, I traded him in fantasy, so I was very glad at that. Let's see if we got any talking points here. Saturday, I didn't talk too much about Saturday. I tweeted this about Kansas City, and it's really, I'll pull it up here if anyone wants to check out the Twitter here. I tweeted this on Saturday, and I've said this in a couple of pods, and it's shitty because I used to really enjoy making Kansas City Chiefs content. I made a bunch of Chiefs content. One of my most viewed, I think my second most viewed video of all time was on Christmas Day 2 years ago when Kansas City won a game. That was before their one of two Super Bowls. And now when I watch the Kansas City Chiefs, I made a bunch of Chiefs off-season training camp videos. This tweet's a hot take, and people are gonna get upset at this. And I was being a little bit dramatic and over dramatized on this, but we got it on the screen here if you're listening to it audio version wise. I tweeted this. I did not think the NFL was rigged or had agendas until the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. In hindsight, after Kelsey and Swift became a thing, it's clear to me the NFL at least wanted that to happen. I think most people would agree with that. Whether or not you think the NFL made it happen, I think you would agree that the NFL wanted the Kansas City Chiefs. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey has not been as big of a thing this season, but I do think last year it was way overdone. And I get it, the NFL is an entertainment company, and I've never believed that the NFL is rigged, and I've never wanted to admit the NFL is rigged or thought it was rigged. But last year's Super Bowl, it rubbed me a little bit wrong. And I did say in this tweet here, Super Bowl 2024 was rigged. Maybe too couple of pops deep, but the Chiefs annoy me now. And I felt the same way about the Patriots, but they are definitely in the stratosphere of the dynasty of the New England Patriots. And I'm sorry if you're a Chiefs fan watching this, because Chiefs fans extremely disagree with this take. But at the end of the day, it's an entertainment business. Not saying the NFL is rigged, because what the F do I know? But I don't enjoy watching Kansas City Chiefs. And I will watch. Oh my goodness. So I'm sick. I'm very ill. I'm very sick right now. So sorry, my voice kind of goes in and out. But Pittsburgh plays Kansas City on Christmas Day, and I will watch every second of that football game. And even though Pittsburgh has lost 2 straight games, I still think they're a very coherent, competent team. And unfortunately, they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's in Pittsburgh. But I don't know, man. I know that's a hot take. Isaiah agrees with this. It's just weird, dude. I don't know. I've never really felt that way ever in my entire life. I'm 25 years old, and I've never really felt like there's some fishy business. And I won't even say necessarily there's fishy business going on, so I don't want to sound petty, but I remember watching that Bengals game versus Kansas City in the first month of the season and being like, that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. And I think it was John Gruden, who's with Barstool Sports now, who said I would change the pass interference rule. I think I saw this clip yesterday or the day before where John Gruden, who I still think 100,000% should be an NFL head coach. And every time I say that, people get their panties in a twist, and they're like, are you kidding me? Have you read those emails? And it's like, no, it's the NFL. It's a head coach. Do you think I'm a political dude? What the F do I care? There's a lot that goes into the Gruden emails. I don't care. I just genuinely do not give an F, because from what I've seen, I've been covering the Raiders technically for many years now. And if you ask any Raiders fan, they are all in agreement that John Gruden got absolutely effed in the ass. They all are in agreement that John Gruden should have never been fired. And like I said, I'm not an email guy. I don't really give a crap what John Gruden was emailing dudes or saying behind the scenes, whatever. I'm not Jesus. I'm not God. I'm not here to judge, so I don't really give a crap. But I do think John Gruden should be a head coach. But John Gruden was saying a couple of days ago that the pass interference rule is bullshit, and that he would turn it to college football where it's just like a 15-yard penalty, and I completely agree. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Kansas City versus Cincinnati a couple of days ago. We just got a super chat, and so I'll try and make this argument really quickly, but I don't think pass interference makes any sense in a lot of football games that I watch here. We got this here from Slow Down Trev. Thank you for the Lions content, chipping me $10. I appreciate you very much, man. Like this is crazy stuff. I thank you very much. It's insane that this is even a thing. I seriously thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wish you nothing but the best. Happy holidays. Thank you very much. It's crazy that somebody would even chip me $10 making content and stuff. And I want to leave this on the screen for the rest of the show because the fact that somebody would even do that is insane to me. So thank you very much. I love making Detroit Lions content, but I really do. It's one of those teams where it just makes nothing but sense. And I've said it time and time again, but my whole dad's side of the family is from Detroit. And I've been to multiple Detroit Lions games. And my dad used to live in Detroit. And I remember going to Detroit all the time. And I remember going to Ford Field. And I remember getting bobbleheads. And I remember being in Ford Field. And I thank you very much. But a team like Detroit is definitely extremely personal to me. So I thank you very much, Slow Down Trev. That means the world to me. I always feel weird when I see dudes like on TikTok. That's a big thing where they're like dancing or they're like doing their thing. This is more Justin Jefferson, but I've been streaming for a very long time, and every donation I've ever got is just like, geez, dude, like bless your heart, man. I appreciate you so much. Let me see if I can pin this. I don't think I can pin it, but we'll hit the chats. I appreciate you, Trev, man. You mean the world to me. Dudes like you are what make this very easy for me. What's up, FW? Appreciate you pulling up. Do you think that the injured Detroit Lions defense is going to mess them up in the playoffs? And this is really good, just kind of going into it. We got Kabir, sorry. Ben Johnson's a mad scientist. That was like my whole rant at the beginning of this show where it was like, the Detroit Lions are banged up on defense. Like, they're not legitimate contenders. You're being annoying. You're glazing the Detroit Lions, and it's like, I don't think genuinely we're watching the same football games. I genuinely don't think. And I said in my Lions recap earlier today, one guy on my Lions YouTube channel said, like, can we shut the fuck up about the injuries? Because at the end of the day, like, I get it. The Lions are injured, specifically defensively, but it's next man up. Can we just shut up about this? And I read that this morning, and I was like, you're 100,000 kabillion% correct. At the end of the day, we got so many comments here about Ben Johnson. The stumble. I mean, at the NFL, I got this clip from the NFL for that video. It was an opera. It was, of course, I'm gonna forget the word I'm looking for. Oscar. It was Oscar worthy. Ben Johnson's a freaking beast. And the Detroit Lions offense is insane. And I love David Montgomery. And I remember D-Mont playing in Chicago a couple of years ago. And I remember easily Chicago Bears saying, we're all set on that. And being like, I remember a lot of Bears fans that I know being like, are you sure you're all set on David Montgomery walking in free agency? Like, I think the NFL viewed running backs very weirdly a couple of years ago. And I think because of guys like Bijan Robinson, and now you're seeing Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, like Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think people viewed the running back position as like, I could give a rat. And you watch a game with a team that doesn't have a great running back, you're like, I don't think you were right on that. And the first team that comes to mind is the Las Vegas Raiders. Let Josh Jacobs go with like Zamir White. It obviously didn't work out, and now they're ripping Madison and Abdullah and who's the guy who just got injured, who was actually really cool, Sincere McCormick. These running backs are important. But then I was thinking to myself this morning, after that guy said that comment, like, every snap I've ever seen from Jahmyr Gibbs, this dude's a superstar stud. I said that in the video, like, This guy, you would agree, is a star. The stats would agree that he's at least a borderline star, no matter people are nitpicky, it's annoying. But Jahmyr Gibbs, you watch him play football, and it's like this guy's a stud. And so David Montgomery gets banged up, and even myself, I hopped on my microphone last week talking about the Lions loss to Buffalo, and I was like, I'm a little concerned about these injuries. Now I'm thinking to myself, well, offensively, I still have Jahmyr Gibbs, and there's no concern at all on the offensive front. And then I watch a defensive. Sorry, I keep hitting this mic. I watch a defensive game from the Lions, and I'm like, all of these dudes are stepping up. Like every single player on the Detroit Lions defense steps up on a week-to-week basis. So I personally don't think the Lions' defensive injuries are going to mess them up in the playoffs because, first off, guys are getting healthy. You're going to get Alex Anzalone back. They're not in a rush to bring a dude like that back. But I would view a dude like Alex Anzalone as one of the most underrated linebackers in the entire National Football League. And the big thing is, I got to move this right. Aiden Hutchinson's not coming back from the Super Bowl, and it's like, I agree with you. I used to think when Aiden Hutchinson got injured over 2 months ago, I thought, fuck, maybe that's a really big fucking deal. It feels like a really big deal. Maybe that's just gonna be the dagger. And up until that Buffalo Bills loss 1 week ago, it's not like Aiden Hutchinson's presence isn't felt, but it's like these dudes are stepping up big time. And Za'Darius Smith, my Green Bay Packers legend, a big reason for it. But, Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike, DJ Reader, when these dudes are healthy, like, I don't have any concern with the Detroit Lions defense, which is crazy. What's up, Sean and Maddie McMahon? I appreciate you, Trev, and happy holidays to you. It's crazy. We're 2 days away. I guess it's Monday at 12:40 for me on East Coast, but we got a couple of days. But I appreciate you, man. Ever since I moved to Florida, holidays don't really feel like the holidays. So I appreciate you. I need to start going to more NFL games next season. I'd love nothing more than to go to a Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers game in both Lambeau Field and Ford Field. And it just sounds so fun to me. It sounds so fun to me. I had so much fun at Soldier Field watching my Green Bay Packers block a field goal at this final second. That was so shitty if you're a Bears fan, but that was just, there's nothing like a live football game. And I haven't been to a Lions game in forever. I haven't been to a Packers game in forever. I was thinking about that earlier today. How much I want to get back to these live sport games. Appreciate you, Bob. Welcome. I think Kevin O'Connell won Coach of the Year. Ben Johnson microdoses. I love that. That's very funny. All my Bears fans, or sorry, not my Bears fans. My Bears friend fans always are like, watch out if we get Ben Johnson. I'm like, I don't think you guys have the balls to get Ben Johnson, man. I think if Ben Johnson said, I want to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears, which I don't think he does, I actually kind of think Ben Johnson will still be the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions next year, whether they win or lose. I don't think the Chicago Bears have the balls to hire Ben Johnson as their head coach. I think Mike Vrabel or something along those lines is kind of in the cards here. As far as Coach of the Year goes for Isaiah, I'm not saying this is all political, but I just don't even know. I'll Google it right now. Coach of the Year odds, because I think you tell me somebody who's like Coach of the Year odds. It looks like Dan Quinn is actually in the lead for that. I would disagree with that. As phenomenal of a job as he's done, and I'll pull it up on the screen here. This is from Fox, and this is 5 days ago, December 17th. There we go. Oh, O'Connell passes Campbell after Lions loss. Oh, he actually is on this site. He's actually the leader. Okay, never mind. My bad. According to Fox Sports 1 week ago, keep in mind this is 1 week ago on December 17th, Kevin O'Connell was the leader at plus 110. Dan Campbell was number 2. Sean Payton was number 3. Dan Quinn, and then Mike Tomlin. I love Dan Campbell. I think the dude's a beast. I think the dude's a superstar stud of a head coach. I also love what Sean Payton's doing over in Denver. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't really think it's close that Kevin O'Connell shouldn't be coach of the year. This dude's a stud. I mean, he's just a stud. I had a statistic, and maybe I have it in my notes here. I actually think I should. O'Connell's 28-2 as a head coach when the Vikings win the turnover margin. Only the Chiefs are better since the beginning of 2022. So that statistic would now be 29-2. That's insane. I mean, it pretty much is like, if you don't believe the Vikings can win the Super Bowl, or because that's perfectly fine. I understand it. A lot of people don't want to give like Super Bowl picks or predictions or biases or what have you. I completely understand that. If I had to give you a Super Bowl prediction, it's Detroit versus Kansas City. That's my prediction. Gun to the head. That's my prediction. But when I make a Vikings video, I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't see why not. Why couldn't they win it all? Why not? So I like that. I like that opinion a lot. They're 13-2. I know Detroit's 13-2 as well, but like they're 13-2. And we said we had this rant at the beginning of the stream where it's like, if I told any NFL fan, especially a Vikings fan, you're going to be 13-2 a couple of months from now with Sam Darnold as your starting quarterback, you'd be like, really? Like, I can see us being good, but 13-2 is insane. Trizzy here. Do you think the Lions will be able to pick Micah Parsons during the offseason if the Cowboys don't extend him? Very good question. Is Za'Darius on and expiring? I want to say he is, but let's look up Za'Darius Smith's contract, because I think he might have 1 year. Is it guaranteed? Let's see what we got here. Technically, he would be a member of the Detroit Lions next season, so I don't think it's out of the picture. But I think Z's been a beast. I mean, I think if you bring Aiden Hutchinson into that mix with a healthy Liam McNeil, DJ Reader, and co., I think that would be fine. Micah Parsons, maybe if Detroit loses in like the Super Bowl, or if they lose in the conference championship and they only that seemed gross, sorry. I don't like these 3% Zins, but this gas station only has 3%ers. That would be a big baller move that I don't necessarily see Brad doing. I wouldn't be shocked if he did it, but that's not really a move I would anticipate him doing. I was even a little bit surprised they traded for Za'Darius, because that's something I think most people would agree with, a move that they had to make or should make. But Brad's big on the future. You got to think about contracts, got to think about salary. I don't really think, honestly, at the top of my head, that Micah Parsons is needed or necessary to the Detroit Lions roster. I don't see the loss against the Bills, TBH. I think the Lions still played an amazing game. And I completely agree with you, Clips. Like, I completely agree with you. And it's just the stupid NFL media saying, oh, now Josh Allen should be the MVP. And it's like, I didn't watch that game today. They won 24-21. Let's see Josh Allen's stats. Josh Allen just went 16 of 29 for 154 yards, a touchdown and an interception, and had 30 rushing yards. Like, that's a really bad game for Josh Allen. And that's what I love so much. And it's very reminiscent last year of the Detroit Lions losing to Dallas in bullshit form, by the way, as we all know. The Lions lost to Dallas last season. I remember being at Sushi, and they lost. And I remember thinking, and then I saw the way they lost, and I was like, who gives a fuck? Like, who gives a fuck? And there's so much NFL media. Like, I'm going to turn on the television tomorrow, and I'm going to be watching probably The Facility, because I think that's FS1 or ESPN. I cannot stand Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp anymore. I just can't stand them. I think they're just desperate. I think they both have very good, coherent, logical takes here and there. But on a show like ESPN, I just don't really think they're going to keep it a buck with me. So I'm not like watching The Facility, because it's a bunch of cool dudes. I think it's like LaShawn McCoy, James Jones, my former stud wide receiver, Jason Daniel. I don't like Acho really at all. But the point is, my favorite's the Herd. Um, you're gonna hear on television tomorrow, or you heard on television 1 week ago how like Josh Allen should be the MVP and the Buffalo Bills should be feared. And then they just won by 3. And the way I see it with the Buffalo Bills for the last 5+ seasons or last 5-ish seasons is I don't really have a reason to fear the Buffalo Bills. And that's the reason I brought up Dallas last year, where it's like technically Dallas beat Detroit last season. Wasn't that at home? Wasn't that in Detroit? No matter where it was, maybe someone can fact check me. The Detroit lost to Dallas last year, and I'm not thinking that like, fuck, dude, Detroit, it's over, dude. It's over. They just lost to Dallas. There's obviously levels to this. Like, they're just not on the Dallas Cowgirls level. Like, nobody ever thought that. Nobody ever thought that. And that's kind of the way I view the Buffalo Bills loss. But thankfully, they're in the AFC, and I don't really think that's going to be an issue. I 100% agree with Kabir here. Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's aggressive. Sorry, guys, I'm sick. I feel like you can hear it in my nose. I got to blow my nose, but we don't have anything near me. Dan Campbell's aggressiveness is both a blessing and a curse. And that's one of the reasons I love Dan Campbell is he dies by his own sword, just like a samurai. And I love Dan Campbell for that. And I think a lot of coaches out there in the NFL don't have the balls Dan Campbell does. Obviously, it fucks him in the ass a couple of times. Like, I'm not even going to bring up the conference championship game of San Francisco last year because nobody needs to hear that. But the onside kick against Buffalo, I don't understand it. I don't think I ever will. If it was the playoffs, maybe it would go a little bit differently, but I just don't really get like this is so funny because people make fun of this. If you played Madden, somebody brought up Madden earlier in this chat. If you played Madden, right? And it doesn't matter if you're playing on Madden, all Madden, or if you're playing on All Star, if you're playing on all Pro or whatever the hell it is, it doesn't matter. You play Madden and you understand clock management to a certain degree. And I never understood the Dan Campbell going for it on an onside kick. But at the same time, I don't think he'll do something like that. I think it's a positive and a negative at the same time. Once again, going back to the NFC Championship game last year, I think there were a couple of calls that in retrospect didn't make sense. And I think there's a couple of those calls going for it or kicking the field goal or whatever, going for it that don't make sense in hindsight and didn't make sense at the time. But unless Dan Campbell were to make a decision like that this year and it's obviously costing them the game, I wouldn't go that far because it's the same thing with like quarterbacks, man. Like, if you're right, you're the freaking beast. And if you're wrong, it's just like, do you even know what you're doing? So I'm not concerned with Dan Campbell's decision making, but I do think it would be something. We got Swaggy in the chat. Was good. Slow. Trev's got a Zen in right now. What you got? What you got clocking in? Do we have a fucking tissue somewhere in here? Can we get a tissue? I'm about to do a tissue in a Publix bag. Are we that desperate? Yes, we are. Come on. I'll mute it. Disgusting. I have the flu. I'm sorry, guys. I appreciate you, Isaiah. Thanks for pulling in, man. We got Swaggy in here. Not fearing the Bills is a crazy take. They beaten the Lions and the Chiefs. Thoughts on the Bengals? Broncos got them in Kansas City next up. I do really enjoy Cincinnati, and I love Joe Burrow, but they're done, dude. I mean, isn't it like if Denver and Los Angeles won one game each, wouldn't they be toast? But that defense is catastrophically bad. It's just a horrible defense. And I agree with you, Trizzy. Sorry, Trev. I just KO'd your. I think I got it right here. Fuck yeah. Appreciate you, dog. And I gotta scroll up. I really like Colin Cowherd's takes. I used to really love Skip and Shannon, and then I don't know if people know this. Like, I used to do a daily live NBA show. I first got started on this YouTube channel doing NBA content, and my buddy Ciro and I would do these streams every day, Monday through Friday at, depending on the time, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 5 p.m., depending on um, class schedule, his class schedule, whatever. And it got exhausting. And that's when I started to realize, like, Skip and Shannon, not yet first take. And it's like all of this stuff is just like, it's just hot takes. And I just don't really agree with it. And it's just like, especially like I used to love Shannon Sharp and I still do love Shannon Sharp, but him and like, who's that dude, Dan Orlovsky, the former Lions quarterback? I really like him. And it's just like, it's 8:30 a.m. It's 9:30 a.m. and I'm getting yelled at by Shannon Sharp why, I'm wrong. And it's like, Dan, you've never played football. Like, I were fucking telling you the truth from the, on the boots on the grounds. It's like, dude, that's 9:30 a.m. I'm not trying to be yelled at for a sports take. Like, all that stuff is just for clicks. It's all for attention. It's all for this stuff. And I tweeted about this. Once again, follow the Twitter. The link's in the description here. Nobody likes these tweets, but I think they're pretty coherent. I think it's pretty solid takes here. I used to do these NBA shows every day, and you have to have an opinion every day. And it's exhausting, dude. It's exhausting. It's like, is LeBron James done with? And I know this is NBA and this is an NFL episode, but like, is LeBron James toast? Like, who fucking cares? Like, I hope he's not. Maybe he is. Like, does it really matter? Is this the end of the Golden State Warriors dynasty? Like, maybe. I don't know. I hope not. Probably not. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it is. Well, here's exactly why you're wrong. And it's like, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm all right on all that. Sorry, Swaggy. As far as Cincinnati making the playoffs goes, like, I doubt it. I don't have the predictions on me. If you got the predictions for me, let me know. But I don't think so. I think the Panthers win the South next year. I think Bryce Young is a really talented quarterback. I don't care. I actually don't think most people disagree. If you've watched Bryce Young, and I noticed this last year when they almost beat my Green Bay Packers, I think at week 16 last year. Watching Bryce Young play football, especially this year, I'm like, he's making good throws. He's making good reads. Like, I'm not a quarterback scout, but I actually really kind of like Bryce Young. I don't really get – there's just this certain thing in sports, whether it's the NFL or NBA, where it's like if you're not like a freaking stud, if you're not the greatest basketball player ever in your rookie season, you're a bust. Bryce Young, you're a bust. And it's like – I watch a Panthers game like I did today, and it's like, I don't know who he's throwing it to. Like, yeah, Adam Thielen's talented. Some of these dudes are talented, but I think Dave Canales going to get him back on track. But at the same time, as far as like NFC South takes goes, I do love Baker, and I do think actually Tampa long term, I think they're actually set up very well. But I like that take. And I 100,000% agree with you, Swaggy. Sorry, Trev. We might look at the big trade one day and say Carolina won it, and I 100,000% agree with you. And at the same time, I also think both parties can win a trade, but I don't know, man. As a Packers fan, it's kind of funny how it's like our Packers, we got Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks, and Bears fans told me all offseason that none of those dudes would be all of those dudes, every Packers wide receiver would be wide receiver number 4 on Chicago. And it's like, really? I don't think that's necessarily true. How's DJ Moore doing in Chicago? It kind of feels like right now he's getting a little bit emotional. The big thing with me with wide receivers is like, can you not be a problem? Can you not be an issue? I watch Steelers games every week when George Pickens plays and he does like some stupid shit. And it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth it, AJ Brown? It looks like that was cleared up with Jalen Hurts, but it's like a wide receiver like that worth it? Seems like a lot of these wide receivers kind of get to that diva stage where it's like, give me the ball. It's like, all right. What if they didn't? Don't know. Quarterback's still the most important position on the field to me. So Packers Rams round 1 going to be a movie. Whether it's Tampa, whether it's Seattle, whether it's Los Angeles, even though I think the Packers are a really good team, I don't like just playoff games worry me in the sense of wild card teams are wild for a reason. I think Tampa was a great representation of that. Atlanta play. I really like Michael Penix. I like Captain Kirk Cousins. Bears fans always say he pees down at football games, so I like making that joke. But I like Kirk Cousins. I would like for Tampa to win the division. I think the Penix era is next, but I think they're on the road against Washington next season. I really hope the Green Bay Packers play Tampa next or in the first round of the playoffs, even though it's on the road. Um, I'd hate going to Seattle, but I guess we just won in Seattle. Still a little bit pissed off. If the Broncos lose out and the Bengals win, they make it. Bengals and Chiefs next for Denver. That could be difficult. So I guess they're not crazy with that. I mean, the chances they win both of those, they've got to be slow or little. I watched a little bit of the Bengals today. I don't really. That defense sucks, dude. It just sucks. Their management and their ownership just sucks, and it just reminds me of the Chicago Bears. And I feel bad for Cincinnati Bengals fans, where it's like I think your owner's just cheap. I think you're just a cheap ass owner, and you're not making the moves you need to make or the hires you need to make. And I just think you're a cheap ass franchise. And I think Joe Burrow deserves better. I think all your fans deserve better. And I feel the exact same way with the Chicago Bears organization, even though I'm a freaking diehard cheesehead. Like, I don't think your management knows what they're doing. And that's fine, but Denver, Cincy next week, if I had to take a guess on who wins that, I'm going to go with Denver. The Chiefs are weird. Chiefs are probably going to win. Chiefs are probably going to win out. And I think it's stupid, but, it is what it is. Broncos are frauds. That's crazy. I think the Broncos are exactly where they should be. I think it would be calling like Washington frauds, where it's like I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, like this is a rookie quarterback, this is a young ass team. Like if we not Swaggy, or any of you guys, but I'm just saying, like if we turn the clock back 1 year ago or in the summer, and it's like name me 4 Broncos defense players, you'd be like Pat Surtain, Von Miller, is he still in Denver? Right? Like I don't know. And I think the same thing is with Denver. I think Denver is actually a really good, talented football team. I think they're well coached, and I think they're way more, even if they lack offensive talent compared to Joe Burrow and Chase Brown and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think they're way more well coached than Zach Taylor. I think Zach Taylor's probably on his way out. But then you say this, like the Bengals could beat the Bills. Like if Bengals make the playoffs, like yeah, the Bengals make the Super Bowl. Like that's how good their offense is. But that defense, they got a lot of flaws, man. And I watched the game like the Browns today, and I don't really feel inspired. I think the Vikings are frauds. If you just look at the stats, they don't beat bad teams by a lot, and they almost lose to them. We all have our own opinions, and I won't. FW, I'm not going to get on a rant here because I've already ranted about the Vikings today, but you don't pick who you play. Week 2 against San Francisco was a really big fucking deal. That was a really big deal. It's week 2. I don't care who's playing who. This is a big deal. Week 3 against the Houston Texans, that was a really big fucking deal. Week 4 against the Green Bay Packers, I know my Packers came back. That was a big deal. Week 5 in London against the Jets were not the Jets like they are 4-11 now. That was also a big deal, and it was a really close, tight game up until the end. And they hit their bye week and they lose to the best team in football, in my opinion, the Detroit Lions. And then they go on a short week against Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams, and they're banged up defensively. Blake Cashman comes to my mind that that he was injured and he wasn't playing, and the defense took a little bit of a hit. Sam Darnold was throwing some interceptions, and then they beat the Colts, and then they beat the Jags without scoring an offensive touchdown. And I get, maybe some skepticism, and then they beat the Titans, and then they beat the Bears, and then they come back against the Cardinals, and they demolish the Falcons, and they beat the Bears 1 week ago 30-12. But if you watch that game, I don't really think the Vikings played well, but they still won like that. I don't like hearing the word fraud because it's like the Vikings weren't supposed to be 13-2. No, like they weren't even supposed to be at fraud level. They were supposed to just be like, maybe they win 9 games. Maybe the Vikings win 9 games. Like if Darnold's the truth, if KOC is the truth, maybe. But Do I feel that much more confident with Philadelphia? Do I feel that much more like just for my sake, if I have to go to Minnesota, which would be what a conference championship game, I don't want to play the Vikings. Whether I'm home or away, like we play them 1 week from now or a little bit less, or exactly 1 week from now in Minnesota. Like, if I had to guess who wins that football game, I'm going to go Minnesota. Now, the playoffs might be a little bit different, but as far as like fraud watch goes, man, I think you could make a case for every team in the NFL. And like, I hate saying this, but like, I made Chiefs videos like every week 2 years ago, and I would watch these Chiefs play, and Chiefs fans would watch this team play, and it's like this defense is so young, this secondary is so young. McDuffie's a rookie, Reed's in his second year. Like the Chiefs secondary was so young, and you didn't think necessarily that the Chiefs were going to walk their way to a Super Bowl, and that's exactly what they did. And so the NFC to me is just a perfect representation. And that's why I wish the Chiefs didn't exist, because it's like if the Chiefs didn't exist, and I don't mean I want Patrick Mahomes to get injured, but let's just say Patrick Mahomes was done for the season, you could give anybody a Super Bowl, whether it's Lions versus Cincinnati for swaggy, but being more realistic, Lions versus Buffalo, Minnesota versus what would be the best example here? Pittsburgh, the Ravens versus Philadelphia. Like you could name any Super Bowl, and people would be like, that makes sense. So as far as frauds go, I think it's just a hot take, but I get it. People have like issues and concerns with some of these teams, but there's a lot that goes into it. I have a hard time believing a 13-2 team can be. Like, what would fraudulent mean? Is that losing in the conference championship to Detroit? Is that losing in the divisional game to Philadelphia on the road? Like, does that mean they're losing to who would they play right now? Washington at home? Like, that would be fraudulent. Minnesota, or that wouldn't even happen, right? Minnesota would lose to who's the fourth seed? Is it still Seattle or is it Los Angeles? If they lose on the road, yeah, not a great season. I see that happening 100%, but I also see Minnesota winning. Like, yeah, for sure. Burrow's having a top 3 season in the league. Sorry, guys, it's getting warm. Hit that like button. We got 17 people in here. It's 1:06 Eastern Standard Time. I appreciate all you in here. You guys are doing a great job. This is our bread and butter. Swaggy will be on here one day. I love doing these where people are just commenting opinions and their thoughts and just all of that, their football philosophy. I love doing that. I have takes and we can sprinkle those in here and there, but most of my takes are on these videos. Like, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I appreciate you so much, man. This is why I make YouTube videos. Jonathan Brooks can't stay healthy, which is unfortunate because the dude looks like he would be a stud, but it's early on. He's a rookie. We're spilling. Never mind. Thank you, Trev. I really like my Packers, man. I'm still a little bit worried about New Orleans tomorrow, but it's in Lambeau and it's going to be cold AF, and I do really like that about Lambeau is it's always cold, but the Detroit Lions exist and the Minnesota Vikings exist, so is it even really going to be that much of an issue? Bryce is trash. Hurts is trash. Tua is trash. I like Bryce. I like Hurts enough. Yeah, I do have some skepticism with Tua Tagovailoa. Bears need to offer Ben Johnson to the max. I still don't think – I agree. I don't think that's happening. I think Vrabel's a pretty good guy. Vrabel and Kingsbury or something like that. It's going to be interesting. I really don't hate the Bears. I'm excited for them because I think Caleb – like I watch – I'm a Packers fan. I make daily Lions videos. I make daily Vikings videos. I watch all the Bears games just being from that area. I really like Caleb Williams. I think the dude throws a beautiful football, and I think they have a good, talented roster at in sections, but I think Caleb's really good at football, man. I not necessarily like terrified of the Chicago Bears, but I do like if they were to hire Ben Johnson as their head coach or their offensive coordinator, to be like, oh shoot, their offense would be very good. DJ Moore wanted to keep Justin Fields. We're getting to the end of this. Jesus, dude, I'm 10 minutes behind. I'm sorry. We're gonna run through these. Keep throwing these comments in. I know I'm a Packers fan. I know I'm wearing a Bears hat. I have no ill will till Justin Fields. I sat next to Cole Kmet, the tight end for the Bears in high school. My cousin's friends with, a lot of these Bears guys and Cole Kmet. Even though I'm a Packers fan, I don't hate the Chicago Bears except for 2 weeks out of the year when they're playing the Chicago Bears, and I fucking hate them like nobody else, especially if I'm there. Like, I was just at Soldier Field, like, fuck all you, like, fuck you. I was waving every single Bears fan I saw goodbye. I'm surprised I didn't get, food thrown at me like I usually do in fucking Bears fan fashion. Fuck them all. Sorry, that was traumatic, but Bears fans always used to throw shit at me, and they would cut me in lines, and they would hit me in the shoulder. And Bears fans, every time I'm at Soldier Field, except for this year, and I think it's because I brought my lady, they're always douchebags to me. Bears fans are always douchebags to me at Soldier Field. They're always like literal fucking dicks. They're all fucking dicks. And it's not all, and I'm just talking about like the shitty part. Bears fans kind of know now at Soldier Field when the Packers win that it's like, good game, man. That sucked, but good game. I had a Bears fan come up to me when I was walking to our car, and he was like, what are you gonna do, man? Good stuff. You guys got a good team. I wanted this one, but at the end of the day, the Packers are a better team than us, and that's just is what happens. But when I watch Justin Fields play football, even with the Steelers, and I make a ton of Steelers videos, and I enjoy the Steelers, I don't see it. I just genuinely don't see the enamor for Justin Fields. I don't see it at all. Is he a cool guy? Yeah. And this will get some dislikes. This will get some comments, but like Justin Fields is a vegan. And when the Chicago Bears, and I know that's so shitty and shallow, and I get it. And Justin seems really cool. There is no way, shape, or form the Chicago Bears starting quarterback can be a vegan. And I don't care if you disagree, because I know most people will disagree. Maybe there's some NFC North fans here watching this that agree with this. The Chicago Bears starting quarterback, a state and city I was born and raised in, does not eat meat. You're telling me you're eating tofu over a steak, and you're going to be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears? There's no way you succeed. Like, I am young and stupid and maybe shitty for that take, but I always said that to my Bears fans because every single friend I had in high school and growing up was a Bears fan. There is no way, shape, or form, dude. It's the Chicago Bears. There's no way you can be afraid of eating fucking meat and being the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And when I would watch the Pittsburgh Steelers with Justin Fields, I never thought that he should be the starting quarterback over Russell Wilson. And then Russell Wilson comes out here and does his thing, and I just like, I don't see it, but I have a bias towards the Chicago Bears, but it's like, I am uninspired every time I watch Justin Fields be the starting quarterback for a football team, whether it's Pittsburgh or Chicago. And DJ Moore, I think, is a borderline diva. I don't think he's a diva yet, but I think he's getting close to that diva borderline. There were numerous times in the last couple of weeks where DJ Moore on the film, on the All-22, the body language, where it's like, I'm kind of glad I don't have you on my football team. And I think that's actually a really fucking solid take. And so I'm 10 minutes behind. So let me catch up. We're going rapid. We're going to do a rapid five. Trizzy, the Lions is going to have a certified 1 seed in the NFC, but they still got to keep playing the card. Heading towards Vikings game at the end of the season. You got to keep winning, man. keep taking care of business. Praying Dallas beats the Eagles, so the Lions just have to beat the Vikings for the first seed. Yeah, I think the Lions will just probably win out just because they're just at that level. And what is Detroit's next two games? San Francisco and Minnesota. San Francisco is uninspiring. Lions can't stop a fly on defense. I don't think that's true at all. Von Miller's with Buffalo. I think, sorry, Ian, or Era, sorry. I think that was just, I don't remember what that was, but I think that was just a dramatic joke that I made, old school. Broncos are having a fantastic season. I just meant in the sense that they have one win against winning teams this season. Vikings are top 5 in offense and defense. As a Vikings fan, just win. Yeah, love it. Just beat the Packers, should beat the Lions. They should have 100% let Darnold walk. JJ is going to be a star and possibly quarterback 3 behind May and Daniels. I really like JJ, man. That was a really sad day. I remember I was at home, visiting home in Chicago, and JJ was done for the season. I remember being very upset about that in the sense for JJ, whether or not Sam was going to be the week 1 starter. I remember being very upset at that. We're still 11 minutes behind. As a team, the Titans and the Jaguars, what moves should they do to get back to winning football? Ooh. The Titans need a quarterback. As much as I loved Will Levis, they need a quarterback. The Jaguars, man, I couldn't even help you. I couldn't even help you with the Jags. I think I was very big on the Titans heading into this season. I was very big on that team. I thought their defense, I liked all of their acquisition moves. I liked all of their offensive-centric moves. I really liked Brian Callahan getting picked up. I really liked the potential of Will Levis. I never think Will Levis should have been benched. I think you got to just kind of ride that stuff out. But both of those guys are fighting uphill battles. I do like Trevor Lawrence. Luka Ristic, even if we lose the rest of our games, my Vikes would be 13-4. That's good enough for me. And we already clinched the playoff goal, baby. Yeah, I fucking 100% agree with you. I think that is 100,000% the mindset to go there. Played a very tough Seahawks team and beat them on the road. 100%. Every Seahawks fan would agree with you. They all agree with you. 100%, man. And that's the best part about Seahawks fans is they understand it, they know it, they appreciate it. But I think people would agree the Seahawks are on the right track, and I really like it. And I just think, as opposed to the Pete Carroll-led last 2 years, there is a very good promise of the future. Very good promise of the future here. 10 receptions, 144 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, dude. JJ's a freaking stud, man. We got Luca Rosano here, my freaking legend, beast, superstar stud. Go check out Luca Rosano. Also check out Swaggy. If you guys don't know, Luca's more NBA oriented. Vikings are the best team in the NFC North. Lions can't stop anyone with their injuries. Man, we got some takes here. Ooh. I am drinking the Surfside. I went to go get some Advil because I am desperately ill once again, and that headache fucking hurt as a bitch. And I didn't go to bed till 7 a.m. last night, and I woke up at 1 p.m., and I figured this was going to be a long night, so why not get a little bit of liquor? But I don't endorse it. But I'm going to finish this because it's 1:17. And it was just a sip left. John drinks those. I hope John's doing good, man. Swaggy's a freaking legend. If you guys also like other NFL content creators, Swaggy is the man. I get a lot of clips from him. Always love and appreciate Swaggy. One of the coolest dudes ever. Like, seriously, like, you talk about dedication. You talk about just, like, passion. Swaggy's the dude to go check out, man. We're so passionate about this stuff, and, we'll keep going, man, no matter how much. Honestly, man, no matter how hard NFL YouTube gets, because there's a lot of fucking weird AI crap on here. Should we put Boise State on Fraud Watch? I'm not the man. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I'm just root for Notre Dame till the end of the day. As a Lions fan, I see Vrabel going to Chicago before Ben Johnson. 100,000% agree with you, Matt. 100,000%. Some fan bases have a lot of rude people, but in every team, I'm sure you can find some of the kindest people in every fan base. I agree with you, Luke. one of the first teams I started covering on YouTube because I was in my last year of college was the Las Vegas Raiders, and I view a lot of those guys as very, very, very pessimistic, and that would be, and I hate saying that out loud because that's not all Raiders fans, but there are a lot of Raiders fans out there where they could win 42-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day, and it's like, well, that's cool, but what's the future? And I get it. With a team like the Raiders, I get it. Ryan Poles isn't being talked enough. He should have fired Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus should have never been the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I think actually every single person on planet Earth, Swag, you're a Colts fan. Maybe you disagree here. Let me reword that. If Eberflus was the head coach for the Chicago Bears, Shane Waldron should have never been hired. Luke Getsy should have never been the dude. And I think in hindsight, that makes sense. In retrospect, that makes sense. But as far as the leader of men goes, I don't think anyone's really ever felt that way with Matt Eberflus. No disrespect to your Colts. Fields had the Steelers at 4-2, but I don't know, man. You watch these games, and it's uninspiring. Bears finished 7-5 with Fields. It's uninspiring. Steelers can't run the ball since Fields was bench. Uninspiring. I don't think he's afraid. It's just maybe he doesn't like it or he thinks it's healthy. I don't know anything about the vegan stuff, though. And I get it, and we're back. We're 7 minutes behind on live chat here, but I get it. That was a hot take, and a lot of people disagree with that. But as a Chicago kid, born and raised, there's no way the starting quarterback, as a Packers fan, there's no way the starting quarterback for Chicago Bears is afraid of meat. And I know he's not actually afraid of meat, but I don't think Bears fans really watch this channel. But and see, like Swaggy saying the Bears suck ass. Myself included, I thought the Bears would be much better than 4 and whatever the hell they are now. 4 and what is it, 11? I mean, they were 4-2. I don't think they're 4-11. What are they? 4-10. They were 4-2. And I'm sick of Bears excuses. I really am, and not necessarily saying Luke and Swaggy here, but as a Chicago kid, I'm sick of hearing the Bears excuses. I think they're all fucking shallow. Why do Lions fans think they're winning week 18? Fields had nearly the same team and won 5 games as a starter. Like, I just remember watching Justin Fields start the Bears quarterback games for 3 years, and I just it's just funny, man, because any like actual diehard Bears fan will tell you like that doesn't work. It doesn't work. And when they drafted Caleb Williams, it's like that works. The Bears don't work. Caleb Williams works. Justin Fields with the Bears with Justin Fields also didn't work. Did Justin Fields get done dirty with the Bears? 100%. Is Caleb being done dirty with the Chicago Bears? 100%. But that's when you look in the mirror, just like my Cincinnati Bengals, and it's like, you guys got to stop being cheap as fuck. Hire head coach. Why was Matt Eberflus the head coach of the Chicago Bears? And we could go list and list. Why was Mitch Trubisky written out? Why was Jay Cutler done? Why was Matt Nagy done? Just because of a double doink from Cody Parkey? Like, I don't know, man. I'm talking from the streets of Chicago here. Like, Bears fans fucking hate this shit. They hate this shit. And I would too. And I hate it for them. And I'm a Packers fan. And the Bears are number 4 on my NFC North list. And I don't even really fucking hate any team in the NFL. Lions fully healthy would win the Super Bowl, but if they aren't, I'm nervous for them. One big thing, and I get it, one big thing with just sports, or sorry, the NFL, but sports in general is, who's the healthiest? I would say that Jalen Hurts' concussion worries me, and I don't know what the discourse is going to be tomorrow in NFL media, but I would say that worries me grandly. And if I had a Lions versus Vikings NFC Championship in Detroit, I'm going to go with Detroit. NFC is anyone's conference this year. According to some other Vikings fan, J.J. McCarthy was never going to start. It was going to be Mr. Darnold. Yeah, we hear that, and I think J.J. probably – obviously, they're 13-2. So at this point, J.J. would have never started, but the Vikings, the way I viewed it was kind of like Andy Dalton, Justin Fields era, where it was like, all right, obviously we are not winning football games. We're not, maybe they make the playoffs because, at the halfway point of the season, it's anybody's guess. You can go on a hot streak, but let's just see what the future holds here. Titans play hard, 100% agree. That was a really cool game that you Colts played today, man. That was a really cool game. JT's a stud, Wisconsin legend. I still love AR. I don't care if he's an NFL quarterback or not. I don't really care. I think AR is a dope-ass quarterback. And I think the Colts have one hell of a freaking roster. You guys have seriously one hell of a roster. And I think your head coach is a genius. And I think he knows exactly what he is doing. And no matter what the future holds as far as quarterback or talent or whatever it is, the Indianapolis Colts long-term, I enjoy it. Will Levis has been awful. I completely agree. I was very wrong about it. But I was very much looking forward to the Titans with Will Levis this season. I viewed them as the dark horse in the offseason, and I will admit when I am wrong, and I guess I was wrong with Tennessee Titans. I was big on the Falcons defense coming in this year, man. And then you watch a game like today, and it's like they had like a couple of defensive touchdowns. The defense was money, but it's against the Giants. Football is so funny, man. It's the best sport. It's the best sport out there. We all love it. It's just awesome. Anzalone is coming back for Niners week. Yeah, I wouldn't rush anybody back. As you guys know, if he's ready to go, let him go. But because you don't want him cold heading into the week 1 of playoffs. But bye week, limited snaps next week against San Francisco. I like it. And Swaggy, I absolutely love this take. Let Brock Purdy walk. I said Nick said the same thing in a text a couple of hours ago, and I said, honestly, why not bring Aaron Rodgers and a young rookie quarterback into San Francisco? Like, I know San Francisco is getting older. They got a lot of money they got to pay or pay dudes, but I too would let Brock Purdy walk. Why not get Aaron Rodgers and, take a quarterback early on and around? You guys know I love Aaron Rodgers, and, he's a San Francisco 49er fan, and we never had success against that football franchise, but I kind of like the idea of a Aaron Rodgers bridge quarterback because I don't think the Jets really want him. I wouldn't pay Purdy either. There's a lot of people that would pay Purdy, but Alice in Chains, hell yeah. Alex, appreciate you. I agree. The Vikings have the best receiver duo in the NFL, not totally biased. 100,000% up there, and it probably is top 3. The first team that just came to my mind is Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I don't think Jordan Addison is on that level of T. Higgins, so I wouldn't say the same thing, but I definitely agree with where you're coming from, and the future is bright. How long is T. Higgins going to be in Cincinnati? So, all right, Trizzy, if the Lions play the Eagles in the NFC Championship, do you think they can beat them a script spot in the Super Bowl? I think 100,000%. There's not much that worries me about the Philadelphia Eagles. But as Swaggy and everyone else in the world is saying, defensive injuries definitely suck. And if the Lions can stop the run, which they did in grandeur fashion today, and that's another thing is it's like if a concern would be because of the defensive injuries, which first off, Josh Pascal's back, Levi Onwuzurike's back, DJ Reader's back, Aiden Hutchinson, Super Bowl, but he's the one injured. Za'Darius Smith is a new acquisition. If the big concern for the Detroit Lions is stopping the rush, well, what if they put up 27 like they did in the first half today? Right? So if I had a Detroit Lions versus Philadelphia conference championship or even just a divisional game, I'm putting the house on Detroit. Jesse Bates walking to Atlanta. That definitely sucks, man. And that's just the whole thing with a team like Cincinnati / and I correlated it to the Chicago Bears where it's like, you guys are cheap as hell. Yeah, we got Chris in the chat. What's up, man? Chris makes all of our thumbnails here. Shout out to Chris, Rockets guy. Go check him out. And I appreciate you, Chris. He made the thumbnail to this show, obviously, as our thumbnail guy, but I appreciate you, Chris. Late night, man. It's 1:30, man. We got 11 people in here. I appreciate you guys so much, man. We're just kind of running with this. Thank you for watching, man. Once again, this will be on streaming sites. This is more of a live show, but if you want to listen to this the day after, these are available on streaming sites. The link's in the description. That's a great representation, as Luke Static saying here, like, That's how I feel about the Chicago Bears, where it's like just pay your studs, dude. You should always pay your studs. Like Jesse Bates is a dog, and they didn't pay him, and now look at what is going on, man. A team with a good defense can beat Detroit. Um, I mean, yeah, 100%. Who's the best? Would it be Philadelphia? Who's the best defensive team in the NFC outside of Detroit? Or sorry, not even saying that necessarily with all the injuries. Who's the best team in the NFC defensively in the playoffs? I'm not going Washington. I think my Green Bay Packers are actually a really good team. I think Minnesota's right there too. I think honestly, Tampa can stop the run, but Detroit plays them a little bit interestingly. Detroit versus Tampa is not an easy walk in the park, as Lions fans know. I just don't think Philly really worries me in the sense, but I think the answer would be Philly, but I just don't really think Philly really worries me. And even in the sense of Minnesota, Minnesota at Detroit is a different situation than Detroit at Minnesota. And we're going to learn this probably in 2 weeks. We're probably going to learn this in 2 weeks here. Thank you, Chris. Love you, brother. I really missed Harrison Smith today. We barely won. If we had him, we still probably would have won, but he has so much experience, and I'm pretty sure he's captain. Yeah, Harrison Smith, the few games he's missed this season, you definitely feel. Ivan Pace, too, coming back here, stop the run a little bit. You noticed, if you're a Vikings fan especially, you noticed when Blake Cashman was injured. It sounded shitty. You notice when Blake Cashman was injured and Ivan Pace had to, take over for Blake Cashman. And then you also notice when Blake Cashman is healthy and Ivan Pace is gone. So a lot of this, like Swaggy said a while ago, is health. A lot of this is just health. Eagles and Vikings. Tampa's even making the playoffs now, I feel like. The reason I feel like Tampa is making the playoffs is because their next 2 games are at home against the Saints and the Panthers, and Atlanta is on the road, I believe, next Sunday against Washington, and then they're at home against Carolina. And I do think Carolina, whether it's Tampa or Atlanta, will steal one. So I agree with you in a sense, but if I had to guess, with a rookie quarterback, Michael Penix, I don't really understand why they did that this season. Long term, I get it. I guess they can just cut the contract, but yeah, I do think Tampa's a really good team. But obviously tonight was a little bit of what's going on in Tampa, and it's a weird evaluation. Philly versus Washington because Hurts got injured right away, and if I'm going with Kenny Pickett, as Steelers fans know. If Kenny Pickett's playing in the football game, that game's probably going to be a loss. So, love Drake May. Drake May's a dog. I need to make a Drake May Patriots video. I wish they beat the Bills today. No disrespect to the Bills, but I wish they won today because I do think Drake May is a really talented quarterback. I think all these dudes are talented quarterbacks. JJ, even though he hasn't played, Bo Nix, obviously, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Shaden Daniels, all these dudes are having phenomenal seasons. It was 21-0 before Hurts got injured. Is that true? I thought it was like 21-7, but still. All right, guys, I gotta rip a piss here. It's 1:30 in the morning here in Florida. I appreciate you guys tuning in here. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. My Twitter's in the description. My social media, not that it matters, in the description. This version on podcasts is in the description. We have 5-star reviews. So if you happen to listen to this on Spotify or Apple and you're feeling it, rip it. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll either be here tomorrow or in a day or two. I have some family coming in for Christmas, so maybe it's going to be a little bit more complicated, but we're definitely going to see you guys live before Christmas Day. So thank you guys all for tuning in here. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate, once again, we got Trev here with a $10 donation. Appreciate you so much, man. And all of you guys live, post-live, the whole kit and caboodle. Thank you for tuning in here. Hopefully Swaggy joins us for the next show, and we'll see you then, man. Peace. I got blow my nose